Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Alan Major Show here on ESPN 730 in Charlotte. Alongside the coach, Alan Major, and Lanny Ford, I'm Matt Swierad. We're here until 8 o'clock to take your phone calls. Got some email questions we'll ask the coach tonight as well from the Alumni Association email basket. And we're coming to you from the Wild Wing Cafe broadcast booth, Wild Wing Cafe University. Our phone number is 704-332-0173. 704-332-0173. Well, Coach, let's get right into it here today. We've got the big week on the road going up to LaSalle and Philadelphia, leaving tomorrow, playing on Wednesday. And then from there going right to New York City and playing on Saturday afternoon against Fordham. And getting back on the road, we've been home a little bit. A tough week last week, but really I thought a great bounce-back effort on Saturday, even though it ended up in a losing game. Yeah. To come back and play as hard against a good Xavier team as we did was a good step.
Yeah, every team's got its margin for error. And, obviously still played well enough to win without Perrier playing. But what that does is your margin for error or your ability to make errors is limited. And, when you have a good team like Xavier, it usually only comes down to a handful of plays. And that was the thing on Saturday. But I was impressed with our ability to respond and compete. And that's going to be our mantra as we kind of head down the stretch here, competing and then continue to get better at our execution, which was a little bit better Saturday. We were 50% from the field in the second half. Thought we were a little trigger happy maybe in the first half. I think we wanted to get the game going well so quickly that, we shot some jumpers early and didn't make them. But, by and large, I thought much improved effort, and that is the key, in order to continue to get to a point where we break our little stretch here is continuing to practice better so you can play better. Then you play better, I think you'll get the results we want here down the stretch.
Coming out of the game on Wednesday against Temple, I know a lot of guys were feeling down, and Javaris Barnett, a fifth-year senior in particular, was going off the floor and telling the students, he apologized, he's going to have a better effort the next time out. And as a coach, I think you got to like to see the way he did come back, and he played so well.
Yeah.
And the team did, but he really came up and had a fantastic ball game, making the 7 threes, scoring a career-high 27 points, and gave a great effort.
Yeah, and I'm glad he did that. I mean, I feel bad as well. I mean, obviously, you want to win every single one of them, and the fact we've been on a little stretch here is tough. But I think when you deal with other things in life too, death, divorce, illness, all those other things, it kind of makes you sometimes catch yourself and say, you know what, as much as you hate it, there's a lot bigger problems in the world out there. So, I'm impressed with how JB has handled himself. I think as a senior, and he's kind of that young senior like we've talked about. I mean, he's like a second-year senior in a sense because he didn't play a whole lot those first few years. But the way he's handled himself has been tremendous, and I think that the way he responded is kind of as a team how we want to continue to take this thing forward is be consistent in terms of our effort and get better at our execution. And I think that'll help us, continue to max ourselves out. I mean, it's, almost like being 0-0 once again. 10 games to go. We kind of, unfortunately, we broken even in a way that we didn't want to. But, heading into, kind of what I like to call the Eastern Invitational here this weekend. 2 games on the road. And, let's get back at it.
Coach, one of the things that I noticed, we scored early. And had hit the 3 early. Do you think that caused them to get a little trigger happy? You were talking about a little trigger happy in the early first half.
A little bit, yeah. And the beauty of it is, I thought as the last 8 minutes of the half, we did a good job of getting the ball back inside again. We got to the foul line some, got an easy basket. Terrence had a nice touch pass to Braz for a layup. Got out in transition a little bit. So, I thought, but yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think early on, JB hit the first one. Mm-hmm. And then I think,
Yeah, because Matt and I made reference. We got that 3 points quicker than 10 minutes than we did on Wednesday before.
Right.
But then it was like the offense was so hurried and rushed when they would come down the floor.
Well, and I think that's a result of probably some of the after effects of Wednesday because you want to play so bad, so well, and you want to respond to how we played. You want to maybe try to hit them with a knockout blow or get off to a great start. And I thought that was one of the reasons why early on, we didn't put the ball in the basket. But as the half wore on, I thought we settled down and did a nice job, especially in the last 8 to 10 minutes of the half.
Yeah, we talked about, Matt and I would talk about it during breaks. I thought it hurt us that we didn't do better in the paint. I mean, I know they were big, but I still felt like a lot of times when we could get the ball worked inside, we were drawing the fouls even if we weren't getting the basket.
Right, or driving the ball.
Right.
One of the two. I think that's the next step for us as we continue to develop offensively is, driving it and posting it, having a little better flow from, whatever the initial action of the play is to getting some movement. Now, I think when we get movement, good things happen. And whether it's a drive, a post up, you can get to the foul line, things of that nature. So, but I think you're right. I think, guys wanted to get going so badly that you feel like sometimes with 15 seconds on the shot clock, you'll let one go. And sometimes with 6 seconds, you may get that same shot or you may get a better one. It's just testing that defense for another 5 to 10 seconds and not being afraid to get deep into the shot clock. The worst case scenario is a shot clock violation, which you can still set your defense off of.
The phone number is 704-332-0173. We'd love to hear from you. We're here until 8 o'clock, 704-332-0173. The Alan Major Show here at Wild Wing Cafe University. Coach, we're going to go to Philadelphia, play LaSalle on Wednesday night, and here's a team that really flying under the radar. And they're 5-2 right now in the conference. They're 16-6 overall. Coach Giannini's brought a lot of new guys into the program, and he has them believing right now. And at home, they're extremely tough. They're 11-0.
Yes,
it's going to be a great game in terms of the matchups. And we've had a lot of success there in the past, but this is a different year, and that's a different team.
Yeah, it is. I think some of his returning guys have improved. I mean, you brought in a kid Galloway, SEC transfer, who's kind of a proven guy at that level. And he's really ignited them, to come in as a transfer and average 15 a game. And some of the other guys that are returning have improved. Guys like Pettis, Duran, Mills, some of those guys have improved. And he's added some new guys, as well. So, it's kind of a unique style, almost a Phoenix Suns, when the Suns were the Suns a few years back. Shoot a ton of threes, kind of play small ball. Their four-man is kind of like a three-man who's playing the four, almost like kind of like when Sean Marion was with the Suns. He was running around and handling the ball, and he wasn't like your traditional four-man who's a rugged power forward, more of a skill type of guy. So, but the three-point shot's a big part of what they do. They average 8 makes a game, and we want to make sure we go in with a great defensive mentality of having great awareness of the personnel.
When you're 22 games into the season, as LaSalle is now, it's not a fluke. They're shooting 41% from behind the three-point line. They made 178. You referenced the 8 per game. And as a team from the floor, shooting almost 48%. So that's getting it done.
Yeah, I think what they're doing is you see probably very little in between shots that they make. Because when your field goal percentage is that high, what's happening is you're probably getting either an open three, which they got capable guys that can make them, and then if you look at some of their other guys, shooting percentage is right, shooting 54%, Duran shooting 50%, not shooting a ton of threes, so he's probably getting to the rim a lot, into the paint, and you got another guy, kid White, is shooting 50%, so and hadn't shot any threes. So the two guys that are above 50%, 2 of those guys haven't shot any threes at all. So what they're getting is probably penetration, shovel passes for layups, offensive rebounds, putbacks. So I think if you were to chart their shots in the game, you're probably getting a lot of three-point shot attempts, and then you're probably getting a lot of shots right at the rim. But I doubt you're seeing a whole lot of makes in that B range is what I like to call. If the A range is the rim and the C range is threes, these guys, I don't know how much they're doing in the B range right now.
They also have 4 guys playing over 30 minutes a game.
Yeah.
And that's a little, that's kind of a high number to have 4 over 30. But they do play quite a few guys, but coming off the bench, 10 minutes here, 10 minutes here, but not a whole bunch coming off the bench.
Yeah, no. And a few of those guys are experienced. I mean, Mills is a returning experienced guy who's been through it. Duran, I believe, is only a sophomore, but played a ton last year. I think he started for him. And then Galloway's an experienced guy. He's older. Again, he's been in the Southeastern Conference, been through some wars. So I think that some of those guys that are high-minute guys, and Pettis is a returning guy. So some of their high-minute guys are second, third, fourth-year guys that have been through a lot of battles. So to those guys, it's not a shock to play that long. They want to play that long. They get over to the media, you sit down, you get a sip, and like, hey, those guys get mad if you take them out.
Well, we'll take a break right now and come back with more of the show. We got a lot more to go until 8 o'clock. Our phone number is 704-332-0173. And back with the email segment as well. This is the Alan Major Show from Wild Wing Cafe, and it's from Signature Sports Group. Welcome back to Wild Wing Cafe University, the Alan Major Show with Alan Major. I'm Matt Swierad alongside Lanny Ford from ESPN 730 as well. Bobby Rosinski is back in our network studio, and he is ready to take your phone call. So give us a phone call, 704-332-0173. Coming to you again from the Wild Wing Cafe broadcast booth. Time now for the Alumni Association email basket. We have all our emails for tonight, but if you'd like to email us for our next show, which is next Monday night, the email address is major49ershow@yahoo.com. And, Coach, the first question is coming from Tommy Holbrooks of Bessemer City, North Carolina. We're going to kind of paraphrase this one first. And he talked about some of the things that he was asking, some of the things that we do in our pregame routines and shooting drills, and a lot of things he was talking about we do. So I'll answer that for you. But he was asking about switching maybe your pregame routine, maybe try to break the slump a little bit.
I'm looking at it. Okay, there we go. That's a you want to?
Well, just maybe your pregame routine, breaking what you do in pregame in terms of how you guys get ready.
Are you set in what you do? That you have a set routine that you do for every pregame, as far as you're going to go ahead and do this for 2 minutes, and then you're going to do this for 3 minutes.
Does he mean the day before?
Well, he's talking about two different places, but on the routine, like just before a game, is there anything you do, or you try to keep the same routine before you go?
Yeah, if he means like a game day shoot around, that's fairly consistent. I think once you get the game day, you try to players are creatures of habit, so you try to keep that fairly consistent. I didn't know if he meant the day before games.
Well, that's one of the questions. What's the last thing you do the day before a game? Is the last thing of practice? Do you have a set thing you do before? Most coaches are superstitious. You get a routine. You do the same thing, win, lose, or draw.
Right. And his question, the answer to his question is both. Because he's saying, do you work on defense or offense? So we actually do both. We have a drill called OD, meaning that one team will start with the ball. They'll go down, we'll come back. We'll go down, we'll come back, and then we'll stop. And we'll kind of talk about that sequence of how it went. And then we'll flip-flop it. And we'll sub different guys in, different guys that may play together. Then we'll do it again, down, back. And most of the time, one team will run the other team's offense. So, our guys will get reps on the green team of running, kind of our stuff. And then the other team, the white team, will run the other, opposing team stuff. So that part, that's usually the last thing we'll do, to kind of wrap up the preparation in terms of the day before.
All right, we got a caller on the line. We'll go back to the studios. Larry is on line one. Go ahead, Larry. What's your question for Coach Major?
Coach, I know you can't comment on officiating, but my question is, I noticed Tony Dawkins has reffed the last 3 home games, and he really lets he lets them get real physical. And my question to you is, if you do not prefer certain officials, can you do a preference that I don't want these officials at the game?
Yeah, I'm with you, Larry. Thanks so much for calling. First off, I thought it's strange that we've had him. It's actually, I think, been more than 3. I think it's been 4 because he was here for Kennesaw as well. And maybe he bought a condo on the south side of town or something. And just was, he's moved here for good. But that's actually something that I've had on my page this week is to contact our guy, guy by the name of Reggie Greenwood, who's actually a new person this year that's doing our conference assignments for officials. So, and once in a while, Larry, we will make a DVD if there's 4 or 5 plays in a game that we feel that we could make a point of, just from the accountability standpoint. I think you want officials to know that, hey, obviously nothing can be done about it after the fact, but you want them to know, hey, this wasn't particularly, something that we agreed with, during the game. So, but yeah, I thought it's been odd. I saw him right before the national anthem the other day, and I said, wow, I said, this is about 4 or 5 times here. And I asked him, did you get a condo on the south side of town, or you move in, or, and I said, hey, we'll see. We'll wait. We'll hold your check till after the game. We'll see how you do. But no, some of that is it's interesting that I thought I've never had that where that one particular guy has done that many in a row. It is kind of odd, but at the same time, you still want to get to a point where you play, above, around, or underneath, or through the officiating as best you can.
Yeah, I know.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
And I know you can't comment, but
yeah,
I'm a biased fan, so I'm biased. But he sure doesn't give you a home court advantage. I mean, I don't think he did you any favors.
Well, I think the thing we may do, Larry, if we get him again, and I'm saying this as I'm joking because your phone line might be bugged by the A10 conference, but if it ever gets that bad, what I'll do is I'll take maybe one of our best defensive players, DeMario Mayfield or Perrier, and when we come out of a timeout, we'll send them over and we'll have him stand next to him like he's guarding them. So then when he comes over and asks me, why is your player guarding me, Coach? I'll just say, well, we wanted to come out of a timeout and guard the guy that's killing us the most, and tonight we felt it was you. So
yeah, I love that.
Now I may get teed up for that one, but no, if you see me get a tech, that'll probably be the reason why. But thanks so much, Larry, for your support. We really appreciate you.
Thanks for the call, Larry. I'm not sure who sits behind me, but I told him Saturday night, I said, I'm really glad that you make sure the officials are doing their job because I can't. And he said, would you tell my wife that? Because undoubtedly it bothers her when he does. But, it's hard not to let that become a part of what you're doing.
It is.
And it's got to bother you. When I did high school, we had that ability. We could call a booking agent and do the same thing.
Right.
Hey, we've got some guys that we're just not getting consistency. We'd like a different rotation.
Yeah.
So I didn't know if you could do that on this level either. That's a great question.
Yeah, we can. And, I had he not shown up the other night, I probably wasn't going to consider it. But, when you see him again, it's like, it was like Groundhog Day, It's like, man, is this the same game we played last week? Is this this is a different opponent or what? But you're right. I mean, I think the thing we try to do is if we get caught up in it, what happens is the players get caught up in it, and now all of a sudden you're not coaching and playing. Mm-hmm. You're trying to manage the game on something you got no control over. So it's a fine line. You got to make your points when you can, and then you got to kind of back off, let it go.
This next question comes from David Goodman, and I'm sure this is on everybody's mind. Is Perrier Henry's injury improving to the point where he may be able to play Wednesday at LaSalle? If not, Fordham, kind of what's the status update on him?
Yeah, he's getting better. He was able to bounce around some yesterday. Even though it was an off day, he just kind of came in on his own and did some things. He's able to move around a little bit today. So, whenever there's injuries, I always try to take the kid's well-being in mind, first and foremost. But, much, much better. I think, I don't want to guarantee anything for Wednesday night, but I have a good feeling that he'll be back with us soon, if at the worst Saturday, but, hopefully Wednesday.
Coach, the next one comes from Stan Brady, and now that Ilya has improved his concussion and got some minutes against Temple, is there a chance he can give you 5 to 8 minutes a game? We can have him and Braz and Cage in the game at the same time, or give Braswell a breather? That's Stan Brady with the question. Yep,
great question. I think that will happen as we move down the stretch, that we can keep our energy level up. He's continued to practice well, and in concussions, I didn't realize his was as bad as it was. It was actually a pretty good one. You always have to have a test. They run tests when a guy goes through that, to make sure the dizziness and the balance and all that stuff is legit. So, but no, I think as we move forward, we'll, especially if guys have foul trouble, things like that, we'll throw them into the mix from time to time.
This question comes from Frank Harmon. And Frank, I want to thank you for taking his question last week. Said I was at the Temple game and the Xavier game. Was the poor start in the Temple game due to personal setbacks? I didn't know until after the game why JB and Dario didn't start and that KJ was out. That was a hard game to watch. And on the other hand, Xavier was a great atmosphere. In your eyes, how did the team respond?
Well, we try to always tell them, you're going to have some things happen to you, both in basketball and when you get away from us 5-10 years down the line, that either by your own doing or by just chances in life that you are not going to like the way it turns out. And so part of your character and what you become as a person is how you respond to adversity. A lot of times, it may define your character. It definitely helps shape it. But you're going to see what you're made of when you go through tough times. And you find out who your real friends are, too. So I think from going from Wednesday, a little bit of a discombobulated lineup to coming back Saturday. And, it was a few technical things here and there, and they got a few too many easy baskets. But I thought our mentality to come back and compete, I was impressed by that. Because when you have a mix of older guys, younger guys that, still learning, finding their way, you don't know sometimes what you're going to end up with. So I was very impressed by that, for them to come back and do that. And, this is a time to one of our core values in our locker room is unity, So we talk about every game you play, one of those core values comes into play. One of them's humility. When we had 5 in a row stretch there, I thought we lost it a little bit, because you start reading your own press clippings and, you think, hey, we're pretty good, and that happens. But that's part of growing and going through tough times. Another one, is passion and not being lukewarm. And I thought in Temple we were a little bit lukewarm. Saturday we had a lot more passion than what we were doing. Another one is basically being selfless, in terms of being unselfish, sharing the basketball is a part of that. One of the reasons why we win is when we win, we're unselfish. Another one of those values is thankfulness, meaning that everything you go through, you got to take the good out of it. If it's a good thing that happens to you, hey, let's roll with it. Tough times still have things that are positive in there, and you gotta sift through the rubble sometimes to find it. But you got to take every circumstance that you go through and grow and learn. But we're in a unity time right now, whereas, there's bullets flying every direction. So, we got to stay together, huddle as a pack, keep having a great mindset to come in and work every day. And there's still a ton of basketball left. So, sometimes people panic. And, I think our mindset is, hey, let's keep on fighting, because you're still the same team that you were earlier in the year. You just got to get our mentality back. That's the big thing, because physically, you're the same guys, and nobody's gotten any shorter. So all that's still the same. It's just that's part of growing as players, is getting your mind back, to where you have great faith in what you do every day.
Coach, let's break away from the emails for a moment and get to the Time Warner Cable Stat Stuffer, brought to us by Time Warner Cable. Save a bundle on TV, internet, and phone. Call 1-800-TW-CABLE today. In that Xavier game, one of the things that jumps off the stat page is how well we shot free throws. We got to the free throw line 23 times compared to 16 for the Musketeers, and made 20 of the 23. And for the game, that's 87%.
Yeah, no, that's a play. I think, Mayfield has done a really nice job of taking the time and the ownership to fix his free throw issue. So I believe he went 6 for 8, which is impressive. Brad, 6 for 6. So that's about our average, what we've been on the year, around 22, 23 attempts. And I think that's a good thing. That means we're driving the ball, we're getting the ball to the paint, either getting it off the glass. Sometimes you're getting fouled on offensive rebound opportunities. So if we can keep that 22 to 24 attempt, free throw attempt deal going, that's a good thing. And then when you make that many, you end up +9 in terms of the easy baskets. But I think, as we mentioned Saturday, what offset that, in terms of the free throws, we were +9. But I think what offset that is just some of the easy buckets they got, which sometimes can negate that free throw advantage.
Coach, as we sat here a week ago and talked about, DeMario Mayfield maybe playing a little bit of point guard, that was before we knew that Perrier was going to be hurt.
Right.
And, especially in this game, he has the double-double in points and rebounds, but also 4 assists, had a steal, played 37 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I thought when he was out there running the offense, he did a nice job.
He did, yeah. Now, you guys must have been eavesdropping on the staff meetings or something. Speaking of bugged, I don't know. but no, I thought he did. I thought he had, early in the first part of the second half, he had a really nice pick and roll where he threw it to JB back across the court for a 3. I mean, just a good find, So he's got a safeness and a security with the ball. And the good thing is he's got size. So when people really try to crawl into him and pressure him, he's physical enough to deal with somebody trying to riot him and bang him. And again, having some experience with that in high school definitely helps. So, we've had to do it by committee. It's kind of like a bit of a Chinese fire drill with P, hurt at the point. But I thought Day-Day's done a nice job of just coming in and being solid with it.
Does this add, I'm going to take a break, but does this add to what you can do now going forward once you have Perrier back, maybe another dimension to your offense?
It could, yeah. It could. I think if he's out of the game, we'll use Mayfield from time to time. If he's in, could be a deal where we slide Mayfield to the 2 if a little bit bigger lineup if JB's at the 3. Some of that depends on who those guys guard as well, because if you have a bigger lineup, then you got to make sure that you match up well on the other end. So I think it does give us some options. And again, it's kind of like I said a few minutes ago. I mean, sometimes tough times can, you can find a little diamond in the rough, when you go through some tough times. And so as a result, Perrier getting hurt, you hate that. You hate to see a kid go down, and it's limited our ability to be at full strength. But at the same time, as a result of that adversity, here's a guy that's emerged in Mayfield that's helped us develop another ball handler. So that's the way you have to look at it. I mean, there's always, things don't go well, but, what you going to do about it? You find a way.
We have a couple more email questions we'll get to later in the show, brought to us by the Alumni Association. When we had the breakdown of the LaSalle game just a few moments ago, that was brought to us by Bojangles' famous chicken and biscuits. It's bow time. We're going to take a break here on the Allen Major Show. When we come back, our special player guest this week is freshman Terrence Williams from right here in Charlotte out of West Mac High School. We'll talk to Terrence in a moment. This is the Allen Major Show from Signature Sports Group.
And welcome back to the Wild Wing Cafe broadcast booth for the Allen Major Show. You can catch a video replay of the show on UNC Charlotte Cable Television Channel 22 on Time Warner Cable numerous times this Tuesday and Wednesday. Tune in to Channel 22 for showtimes.
Well, our special guest today from the 49ers is freshman guard Terrence Williams out of West Mac High School, brought to us by Ortho Carolina. Ortho Carolina, you improved. Terrence, thanks so much for taking the time and coming to join us here tonight, night before we leave for Philadelphia tomorrow. Hope things are going well for you.
Yes, sir.
What's it been like? You're a Charlotte guy. You're just down the road at West Mac High School, staying in Charlotte to play your college basketball. What made the choice for you when you chose UNC Charlotte?
Just when I came on my visit, I liked the way that Coach Major and the other coaches, how we all got along, and I like how I got along with all the players. They all bonded, we all knew each other from the jump.
There's been a list now of guys that have stayed in Charlotte to play for the 49ers. You can go all the way back to Joby Thomas, who's still playing professional ball over in Italy. Have you had a chance as you've grown up to watch the Niners play and see some of these guys and maybe develop relationships in the summer with them?
Growing up, I didn't really watch college basketball like that. I just watched the NBA because I like LeBron. That's all. But I didn't really get to talk to none really. But Rodney, but he's not even from Charlotte, is he?
No, he's not.
Yeah, that's the only one. And Joby, he came by a couple times. That's it. And I had a little conversation with him. It wasn't nothing much. But I ain't really had a conversation with none of them.
Tell us about growing up and some of the sports that you played and what kind of made you kind of gravitate towards basketball.
Growing up, I was playing football and basketball, but I had leaned more to football earlier because I was a better football player than basketball. So then I started working on basketball. Then I became a better basketball player than football. And then I started playing AAU. I got called getting recruited, so I just threw football to the side and just stuck with basketball.
Terrence, what do you feel like has been the biggest adjustment that you've had to make from high school to the college level?
The pace of the game is faster, very faster. And you get tired kind of running up and down the court after fast players having to play defense all the time. So it's just the transition from high school to college, the speed of it. That's about it.
You know, that's what most players say in just about any sport, whatever it is. The speed of the game is so much faster. You can watch it, but you don't really realize it until you're out there on the floor playing it.
Yeah, that's basically how it is. But on TV, it really don't look that fast. But once you get out there, it's pretty fast.
Now that you're 20 games into your freshman season, when you're on the floor, you've made a couple of starts in a row now. Is the game slowing down a little bit for you now?
Not really. It's probably the same pace, but I just try to maintain, keep my breath, as I'm going, I take long strides to keep up with the other players instead of trying to take it real fast, just to keep up. That's about it.
Which part of your game do you think has been easier to transition into the college level, on the offensive end or the defensive end?
The defensive end, because I grew up as a defensive player. I got Defensive Player of the Year a couple times in high school, so I grew up as a defensive player. I wasn't really much into offense.
You had that game where you had 7 points and 9 rebounds against Kennesaw State. Do you feel as you now have made these appearances in 20 ball games, you've made a couple of starts in a row, that you get more comfortable when you're on the floor?
Yeah, I get more comfortable. At the beginning of the season, I really didn't feel that comfortable, shooting the ball and stuff. So I would just make the extra pass all the time. That's about it.
Do you feel now, though, that you're getting a little more comfortable to spot up? We've seen you spot up and take a couple of jump shots. You scored a lot in high school, and that's going to come, of course, as you continue to play for the 49ers. But are you at that point now where you feel like you can step up and make that big shot?
Yeah, when the point guard or whoever drives and kicks, I just be ready to spot it up. And if somebody just out of control close now, I just go by them. That's about it.
As you look at the standings, the Atlantic 10 right now, and as we go forward, you got the big week in Philadelphia this week with LaSalle. They're going to New York City to play Fordham on Saturday. You guys are in the mix, just trying to get over the hump, and you've been so close in so many games. As you go forward this week, what are some of the things you've been doing to prepare for the game on Wednesday night?
We just working on staying in front of our players, close out with high hands, because they're a very good shooting team, as Coach Major say, and just executing our offense.
What are some of the things you like to do when you're maybe away from practice, away from games, and back in the dorms? So who are your roommates, and some of the things you like to do when you're just kind of relaxing?
Perrier, my roommate, Vic, Victor, and Big Mike. And only thing we do really is just hang out and talk, play Call of Duty, or just watch TV.
Has there been one guy, as you've kind of come through this freshman season, that's helped you along the way to kind of make the transition?
Probably DeMario, because we'll all go work out together, and he'll tell me what to do in the situation I get in, how to get out of it. So this is DeMario.
Well, Terrence, thanks so much for taking the time to stop by here tonight. We'll see you tomorrow going up to Philadelphia, and best of luck in the game on Wednesday night against LaSalle.
Thanks.
Terrence Williams has been our guest, Niners freshman from West Mag High School, brought to us by Ortho Carolina. Ortho Carolina, you improved. We'll take a break here on the Alan Major Show from the Wild Wing Cafe University broadcast booth. Back with more. Phone number 704-332-0173. Again, this is the Alan Major Show from Signature Sports Group. Welcome back to the Alan Major Show here at Wild Wing Cafe University, the Wild Wing Cafe broadcast booth. Our phone number is 704-332-0173. We've got some time to get some more phone calls in here tonight, 704-332-0173. And Niner fans, take advantage of the 10% discount before or after home games when you come here to Wild Wing Cafe University. So flying over the wing before and after a Niner home game and show your ticket for 10% off your entire order. Well, the Niners going back on the road this week, and they'll be at LaSalle on Wednesday and Fordham on Saturday afternoon. And, Coach, you look at the standings right now. We talked about this last week, how, almost in February, they have the breakdown every Monday of who they think is going to be in the tournament, who's not going to be in the tournament. It's kind of fun this time of year. And with LaSalle Dayton losing at home to Rhode Island, I thought for sure, well, they're out. And I looked today before I come over the show. Not only are they still in, now UMass is in.
Right.
And they've got 5 in today. So that just says a lot about the A-10, that we're starting to beat each other up a little bit with the named schools, but yet now another one gets in the projected field. And right now you're sitting with projected to be 5. And who knows what's going to happen, but that just has to be great going into February as we promote the Atlantic 10 Conference.
Yeah. I think I thought it was 6th. Last I saw, maybe 6th in the RPI in terms of the leagues, 6th or 7th. And then as of about a week ago, I think there were 9 teams in the top 100 in the RPI. So that just goes to show you there's a lot of depth. Probably, and again, not knowing the full how the league has been since Charlotte jumped in, but I'd like to think it's about as deep as it's been since 05, when we came into the league. So you're right. I think it shows how tough the league actually is.
Got a couple more email questions. Let's get to those and get that taken care of.
This is from Reno in Indian Trail. He says, interested in what your view of the A-10 race is. It seems as though there's no one dominant team, but a bunch of teams that could knock off the other. What's the best team that you faced so far? And then what about LaSalle? What do they do well, and what could we possibly exploit?
I'll backtrack. What we could exploit in terms of what they do well, probably one of the better three-point shooting teams in the league. I think when you think about them and you watch them on film, that's the single biggest thing offensively in terms of what they put their stock into in terms of their attack. They get those threes in one or two ways, either by in transition trying to beat you down the floor and get a quick one before you get your defense set, or the second way is either through driving the ball or playing pick and roll to distort your defense and get into the paint and then pitch it to somebody for a three. So they kind of have a couple of different ways they do it, and then the catch with that is they got 4 guys out there that can all shoot them. So just having great awareness of those two things would be important. I think we can do some things in terms of getting the ball inside, trying to force them if they do play small. Is one of those smaller guys sometimes has a guard one of our bigger guys at times. So finding the matchups is an area where I think we can exploit, and also making sure that we keep them honest on the glass, because when you sometimes play small ball, you've got to block out the other team as well. So I think if there is a miss, we want to make sure we get that second and third opportunity. Best way I could describe it is we want to try to make sure they get one shot or less on their end, and then on our end try to see if we can get one shot or more for the entire 40 minutes. So over the course of the game, the fewer shots they get, and if they do get one, make sure it's a tough one. And then if we can get one or more, if the first one's not maybe a great one, maybe the second one in form of an offensive rebound can be a really good one. St. Louis, I think right now, to me, in terms of their defensive soundness and their three-point shooting, I'd say them or UMass probably the two best teams that I think we've played against. St. Louis, I might have to give the nod just because they're probably a little bit better defensive team than UMass. Nothing against UMass, but I think St. Louis is just really sound. And tremendous coaching staff. You basically got 3 head coaches on one staff, with those guys. And, the A-10, I think his first part of his question kind of piggybacked on what you just said. It's, it's like the old toy, rock'em sock'em robots, and you play when you're a kid. You got guys every night just squaring off and trying to punch each other in the face. And that's basically going to go on for the next, 5 weeks.
This other question comes from Kenny Seavick. Would you consider a successful campaign this season? If we win 15 games, what could we expect next year? Qualifying for the tournament, and he was thinking if we didn't make the A-10 tournament that he would think that the year was maybe a total loss.
Well, in my own mind, I thought of that ahead of schedule, like how many we can get. But I'll be completely honest. Every ounce of my energy has been put into getting these guys ready to play on Wednesday night, and because if they get a sense from me that I'm concerned or nervous about what may or may not happen, There's an old phrase in basketball. They say you can't fool, kids and dogs. I don't know if it's the scent that comes off, but kids and dogs read people better than anybody on earth. And so our whole thing as a staff has been, let's get ready for LaSalle. That's the number one thing that we can control. Practice today, practice tomorrow, shoot around Wednesday, game Wednesday night. And so that's been my focus, to be quite honest. And I don't mean to dodge the question, but I will say when you're in a tough stretch that we've been in, getting our health back has been number one to me. And then getting our mindset back has been number two. And really just been trying to look right over the front of the hood as opposed to thinking too far ahead.
But if you take care of each game as it comes, the season will take care of itself.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right.
Coach, when you look at, we've been talking a little bit about the A-10, and say Rhode Island going to Dayton. Maybe Dayton was a little down. Maybe they didn't look ahead. Maybe they were looking ahead. But you can also look at Rhode Island as we look at the bottom half of the league, as they got Billy Barron back. Now he's been eligible since the end of the semester. At Christmas time, they've got a really talented freshman in the post that's won numerous Freshman of the Week awards in this league. They're getting better. So it's almost as if those of us towards the bottom of the conference are trying to keep up with everybody,
right?
Because now everybody's getting better.
Right, and that's what this time of year is about, is trying to continue to raise your level of play and get back to us. I mean, I think our number one thing is getting healthy and get back to full strength. And, hopefully, P will be able to go Wednesday night. And then from there, gearing ourselves up for, a stretch run where we can continue to raise our level of play. Because I think Lanny couldn't have said it any better. I think if you play it one game at a time, one practice at a time, keep guys, focused on the task at hand, then I think the results will eventually come.
Take our final break. Again, our phone number is 704-332-0173. Back with a couple of minutes left of the show here this week. This is the Alan Major Show from Signature Sports Group. Welcome back to the Alan Major Show here at Wild Wing Cafe University. Our phone number is 704-332-0173. Got a few minutes left of the show here before we wrap it up for this week. And a couple of road games for the 49ers. They're back home a week from this coming Saturday against the University of Rhode Island. Get your tickets at charlotte49ers.com or call 704-687-4949. Coach, this week on the road to LaSalle at Fordham. Let's jump ahead. We've talked about LaSalle a little bit, so let's just touch on Fordham, going to Rose Hill Gym, the oldest place in America, Division I basketball. A lot of history there. And they're coming off a win. They beat George Washington this weekend. The two previous games, they had really struggled.
Yeah, and I think that goes both ways. Sometimes you have a big win, and then there could be a letdown or a little bit of a that kind of ease back off the gas. But I think with them, they've had a couple tough ones, and then to be able to bounce back like that. But I know Tom a little bit, and he's done a nice job of just kind of solidifying them this year. They got some guys back from last year, got some new blood. Very similar to LaSalle, but in terms of maybe not a true back to the basket guy, but really good guards and wings in terms of multiple guys that can drive the ball, play pick and roll. Got some different guys that can shoot the ball. So in their home atmosphere, seeing a few games on film, their deal's improved. They got more. They're generated some excitement. I saw their Xavier game a little bit, bits and pieces, and the place was packed. So. Yeah. I know their environment's going to be, even on a Saturday game, it'll be a lot more livelier probably than it's been over the past few years. So the good thing is we'll be staying out there. We won't come back because the energy that it takes you to fly all the way back Thursday the next day, jump right back on a plane Friday and go again. So it'll be a bit of an extended trip. So we'll get to practice, at their place Thursday if we so choose, and then we'll get another practice in there Friday. And then get ready to play on Saturday. It'll be an earlier game Saturday, so the kids will get back Saturday night.
And I think have folks check their local listings, but I believe you'll be able to watch it here in Charlotte if you have the Yes Network on your cable package or the Dish. I know I have Time Warner Cable. up in Iredell County, and I do get the Yes Network. If the Yankees aren't playing, I get whatever's on there. So we should be on there at 1 o'clock this coming Saturday. So turn the sound down, listen to us, and you can watch the game on the Yes Network on Saturday. But for folks that are just maybe joining us before the show's over, recap what we got to do against LaSalle on Wednesday night in the Bojangles recap segment.
Yeah, I think getting back to their strengths and what we have to do. Obviously, do a great job in transition. Be very alert in transition, meaning get to the ball quickly as soon as the ball crosses half court. You got to have heads turning, and finding guys and pointing and talking, making sure they don't get that quick strike, 3-point shot. And then once they settle into their half court game, of just doing a nice job of, okay, who's on the floor? Who are the 5 guys out here? Who are the shooters now out of those 5? Sometimes it may be 3 guys, sometimes it may be 4 based on their lineup, and making sure that we get to those guys quickly, either through taking away, some of their driving opportunities or doing a good job on their pick and roll opportunities. So, 3-point teams, you want them to shoot 2s, for lack of a better phrase. Now you don't want those 2s to be layups. You like them to be, tough 2s, where they got to shoot over an outstretched hand and a challenge shot.
Coach, another show's in the books. Thanks so much.
All right. Appreciate it, fellas. See you soon.
Matt, and Coach, there was a saying that I learned in golf, and I think it applies in any sports that you do. When you have the best game you've ever had, you can't wait to get back out there.
Right.
And when you've had the worst game you've ever had, you can't wait to get back out there because you know that you could do better.
Right.
So I think that
applies in my golf game for sure.
I think that's what we're looking at here. The Allen Major Show is brought to you in part by your Carolina Ford dealers, delivering versatility, unsurpassed power, and best-in-class MPGs. Compromise nothing in the 7-passenger 2012 Ford Explorer. Visit your Carolina Ford dealer. Fans of the Charlotte 49ers basketball. Another show here in the book at Wild Wing Cafe. You can catch us here on Monday nights at 7 o'clock. For Matt Swierad, Coach Allen Major, we'll see you again next Monday. Tune in on Wednesday night as the 49ers take on LaSalle. Have a good evening, everybody.